They call it the beautiful game, and not just because it looks that way. Equally as important is the rhythm, the melody of a well-paced string of passes with increasing speed and precision, an urgent but deliberate attacking build-up, the loud smack of a shot on goal. The best teams, you might imagine, could play with their eyes closed. Yet the presence of a lone figure disrupts this harmony of balls played to feet, head, and chest. The goalkeeper, and only the goalkeeper, can use his hands. By the very color of the shirt he wears, you can tell he's different from the rest. However, the man in net is not just a discordant extra, but one of the 11 players, and maybe the most important of all. Everything starts from the back. Distributing the ball from his uniquely wide vantage point, the goalkeeper is like a conductor, setting into motion the symphony which results in a goal-scoring crescendo. And Alisson knows exactly the notes to play to keep his team in perfect tune. The secret to his excellence? It lies in a musical mind, an intense love for family, and a passion for striking a chord with the world around him. To become a professional soccer player, you need to start early. This may be especially true in Brazil, where the competition is fierce and the opportunities are scarce. Even as a kid, practicing for hours a day is hardly unusual. Luckily for Alisson Becker, born in Novo Hamburgo in the south of the country, he never had to worry about all that. The soccer player in his family was going to be Muriel, his older brother. 5 years his senior, Muriel was tall and lanky, with rapid reflexes. He had earned a place in the youth team of nearby Internacional, and the Beckers had decided to channel all their resources into his career. Alisson, by contrast, stood a short, stubby figure. Inspired by his brother, as well as his father José and mother Magali, who all played goalkeeper, Alisson naturally gravitated towards the net. However, aside from his height, a few other factors set him back. For one, he had quite a sweet tooth. After arriving home from school, he would indulge on his grandmother Antonia's home-baked sweets, delicious sugary breads with herbs and cinnamon. Whenever they went to the market together, he would beg her to buy him some chocolate, a treat which his mother would never allow. As such, Alisson became a bit chubby, which reduced his ability in goal. On top of this, he had trouble sometimes keeping his cool. According to his uncle Leandro, Alisson would often cry, especially when his family tried to get him to lose weight, suggesting that if he didn't, he might never be able to play his beloved football ever again. Because of his difficulties on the pitch, the young Brazilian was forced to develop other hobbies. Fishing, tennis, he dabbled in many. But the one which resonated with him the most was guitar. He loved strumming away, singing, listening to his favorite rock songs, and trying to pick them up himself. His preferred genres were pagode, a style of samba, and also sertanejo, a Brazilian version of country music. From this time forward, you'd rarely find him without his beloved guitar on hand.
Saindo da boate todo incomodado. Tá na cara que eu não te esqueci.
Luckily for Alisson, he had one major supporter who wouldn't let him give up on his dreams as a goalkeeper. It was his older brother. Muriel, as older siblings do, pushed all of Alisson's buttons whenever they were playing together, often sending his little brother into a rage. This well-intentioned teasing taught the younger Becker brother how to keep his emotions under control. When Alisson was 10, Muriel's recommendation earned him a trial at Internacional, where he impressed enough to secure a spot on the team. Still, coaches at the club didn't see much in the new recruit. They wanted him to convert to a defensive midfielder, since he was so much shorter and less athletic than all the other goalkeepers. Coupled with this, his own parents tried to convince him to quit. They wanted their son to focus more on school, since his future clearly did not lie in sport. Commuting to long practices every day in nearby Porto Alegre took precious time away from his studies, and they were worried that their son would be left with no prospects, neither sporting nor academic. Fortunately, Inter goalkeeping coach Daniel Pavan saw something in Alisson, and pleaded with the youngster's parents to allow him to continue. What Pavan noticed was an ability to see the field in front of him, handle the ball at his feet, and play passes to all corners of the pitch. Perhaps owing to his talent for the guitar, his technical skill was well above the level of his teammates. He saw rhythms in the movement of the ball from one sideline to the other, anticipated familiar riffs in the opposition attack. The only thing setting him back was his yet developed physical skill. In other words, Alisson was a classic late bloomer. Bloom he certainly did. Alisson grew 17 centimeters in just 1 year and lost the baby weight. In training, while now able to cover the entire goal and make all the acrobatic saves required, he continued to focus more on knowing what to do with the ball at his feet. His favorite team to watch was Barcelona, the teenager with a musical ear, of course drawn to the club with an equally musical style of play. He loved to watch Barcelona goalkeeper Victor Valdés, who passed the ball about just as fluently as his outfield teammates. By joining in the play, he realized that a goalkeeper could unlock an added level of performance. Teams with a skillful keeper had what amounted to an entire additional player, a huge advantage over those that did not.
We have a good relationship. We spend most time with the teammates that with our families. So we are kind of family here.
Eventually, Muriel broke through to the senior team, becoming the starting goalkeeper for Internacional. As he readily admitted, he was only keeping the place warm for his little brother. By this point, Alisson's growth spurt, coupled with his supreme footwork, made him a remarkable goalkeeping prospect. He was already on the radar of European scouts, hoping to lure the promising Brazilian across the Atlantic. In February of 2013, he finally got the call-up, starting Inter's game against Cruzeiro in the Campeonato Gaúcho. The next year, he competed for the starting spot, but not just against his brother Muriel. The team had brought in World Cup winner and Brazilian legend Dida, who, though at 40 was in the twilight of his career, had a wealth of experience which the young Alisson did not. While Alisson was no doubt the heir apparent as Inter's number one, he had to sit behind the wily veteran until October, and only became the full-time starter for the last month or so of the season. From the first day he arrived at training for his new club, Dida recognized the insane potential of the 21-year-old. The legend imparted a single piece of advice to his ascendant backup. Always participate in the game, even when the ball is far away. This helps teammates to become more relaxed and to trust you. Alisson did just that. He became the full-time starter for the 2015 season. In 2016, after his call-up by Brazilian coach Dunga to the national team, European clubs started to move to sign him. Liverpool goalkeeping coach John Achterberg, tipped off by former Liverpool Brazilian goalkeeper Alexandre Doni, had been monitoring the young Alisson's progress for several years. Hunched over his computer screen watching footage of Inter matches, he was convinced that the Brazilian would soon become one of the world's best. He pitched the idea to his bosses during transfer discussions, but the sticking point was securing a work permit, which appeared would be an uphill battle. In the meantime, Italian club Roma swooped in, signing Alisson to a pre-contract deal. In July of 2016, he was off to Italy. During his time at Roma, Alisson didn't get in the game much, as he was stuck behind accomplished Polish keeper Wojtek Szczesny. The lack of on-field experience does not mean this wasn't a time of immense change for the Brazilian. Aside from having to get used to a new language and way of life in Italy, he and his wife welcomed their first daughter, Helena. During his wife Natalia's pregnancy, Alisson would soothe her by strumming soft, calming songs on his guitar. After the birth of his children, he got into the habit of playing to them gently while putting them to bed. To Alisson, music, aside from a simple hobby, was a way to show love to his family. In training, he focused on improving his ability to harmonize with the outfield players, practicing footwork and finding an open passing option in response to the movement of his center backs and fullbacks. Nonetheless, Alisson was frustrated. He hadn't trained so hard and performed so well in Brazil, only to come over to Europe not to play. He vowed to prove to the Roma coaches that he deserved to start by holding himself to an exacting standard of perfection. World-class keepers, he reasoned, didn't make mistakes. After even a small error in training or one of his limited game appearances, he would lock himself up in his room for hours, sulking about his failure. Doing so turned out to be for naught. Despite Alisson's immense potential, he was new to the club as well as the European game. Szczesny's experience and familiarity with the team simply gave him the edge. The decision was in no way a verdict on the Brazilian's ability. Roma's faith in him was proven out the following season, as the Polish keeper left the club and Alisson was given the reins as number 1 for the Yellow and Reds. He responded by putting together a magnificent season, keeping 22 clean sheets and leading Roma to the Champions League semi-final, a run during which he did not let up a single goal at Rome's Stadio Olimpico until the team's eventual defeat to Liverpool.
I'm always focused, even if I don't make any saves in the game, I'm always ready, and today I was needed.
Though he conceded several goals to the Reds in the UCL semis, this wasn't enough to sway goalkeeper coach Achterberg's long-held conviction in the Brazilian netminder. Liverpool splurged, paying a £66.8 million transfer fee to secure Alisson's services, an all-time record for a goalkeeper. Wanting to prove he was worth the record fee, Alisson looked to hit the ground running at Liverpool. From his experience at Roma and Inter, he knew by now that the best way to play in sync with his teammates was to make friends with them off the pitch. To do so, of course, he leveraged his beloved and charismatic go-to talent. During preseason training in the French Alps, the Liverpool players gathered at night for karaoke to sing their favorite songs and blow off steam. Though the Brazilian was working on his English, he knew more than enough to impress the crowd by managing the lyrics to several pop hits. However, his true trump card came later on. After the initial excitement of the karaoke session had settled down, Alisson brought out his guitar and began playing for his teammates. Among such an international group of players with different music tastes and backgrounds, finding the perfect song posed quite a challenge. Most probably expected the Brazilian to play, well, Brazilian music. But he surprised them all, opting for a famous song with roots not far from Liverpool's Northern England home, Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis. His adoring audience loved it, bursting into applause. But they probably didn't understand the personal symbolism present in Alisson's song choice. From his experience riding the bench at Roma before finally getting the opportunity to start, he learned that sometimes circumstances were outside of his control. Rather than beating himself up over small mistakes which likely made no difference, he had learned to treat himself compassionately and remain calm. The familiar tune of anger and frustration from his early days in Italy no longer played on repeat. Instead, his new song was all about using failures in order to learn. Alisson's debut season in Liverpool was a smashing success, as he kept 21 clean sheets in the Premier League and finished with the Golden Glove. But the league season did not go fully without incident. During a match against Leicester in early September, while attempting to dribble out the back, he lost the ball to striker Kelechi Iheanacho, resulting in an easy goal. Alisson swore the dispossession amounted to a foul, but the referee's silence taught him a valuable lesson. A simple shove in the back is not always a foul in the physical Premier League. The savvy goalkeeper adjusted to this difference quickly, and won over the hearts of Liverpool supporters, both with his consistent play on the pitch and his frequent surprise musical appearances. Up to the present, he has remained a fan favorite.
We've conquered all of Europe, we're never gonna stop. From Paris down to Turkey, we have won a lot.
Alisson has a lot of favorite songs, but one in particular stays in his mind, and he says it gives him goosebumps every time he hears it. This song is the Champions League anthem. Though he could be thinking back to any number of memories, one likely stands above the rest. It came also in his first season for Liverpool, as the team had made it all the way through to the semi-final, where they faced the club of his boyhood adoration, FC Barcelona. Though the tiki-taka playing style had changed a bit since the Pep Guardiola days, the Catalan side put together a masterclass in the home first leg, slotting 3 past Alisson, including 2 from living legend Lionel Messi. Desperate for a late goal to reduce the deficit, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp urged his keeper to venture forward on a late corner. Alisson, by this point a paragon of composure, had the nerve to turn down Klopp's order, a decision which likely saved Liverpool from going behind even further. Returning to Anfield, many counted the Reds out. What ensued, however, was one of the single greatest comeback performances of all time, as Liverpool netted 4 unanswered, an epic comeback in front of the home fans. The memory, Alisson later said, would stay with him forever. When Liverpool finished it out, defeating Tottenham in the final with Alisson securing another clean sheet, that memory no doubt would too. Yet amidst the euphoria of victory, Alisson's personal victory rang louder. From a chubby emotional kid who found solace in music, to an instrumental figure for a team that had proven itself as the best in the world, his at times difficult journey had struck an elusive high note. Perhaps no other venue is closer to a packed concert hall than a crowded stadium in the Premier League. The setup looks a bit different, but the actors are just about the same. You have the players and you have the crowd. When the players play well, in sync, whether with instruments or the ball at their feet, they draw cheers. When they fail to synchronize, silence, disinterest, boos. One man stands on the far end, the pit of players organized in formation in front of him, each performing a specific role. He is the conductor. Wearing his white gloves, he gestures his fellow performers into position, making beautiful music for all to enjoy.